and they will start on the T side.
Let's see how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how it transpires, because if we get to Nuke, I think that one could be pretty exciting. That's a conversation for later, but Nuke is a map that both these two teams, especially sAw, have been very, very comfortable on recently, so that would be a bit of a barn burner, I reckon. But anyway, Overpass has to be completed first for forZe, and they're going to start by dinking Story down to just 19 HP. Mutus is going to try and pounce while he hears forZe battling for his life outside B, but now they'll know he's the only one there. So they might decide to go for a full rotation. And Jerry, maybe a late call. They all burst that connector and then they just leave it entirely. So we've got utility to work with. Smoke, flash, molly. It'll be deployed now, and Story, with that 10 HP, has got a lot of work to do on the site. He's got help by a couple of teammates, but surely the HP's going to come back to bite them, and yes, it is. And somehow Story's been left the one last alive on that site. It's an absolute wipeout from forZe, and that's the perfect way to start Overpass.
Yeah, it's a massacre. That's a grim showing. Really, not exactly what sAw were looking for as well. I think, well, there's definitely an argument to be made about potentially forZe overcomplicating it. When it comes down to it, they're able to win their fights over towards A, and that's what matters most in the grand scheme and the end goal and all of the same. So, good start for the T side. forZe 1-0 up for sAw. A little bit to the drawing board for them. Full bike to come through though. We're going to see the 5-7 on display. We know how strong they can be. Story's going to pick himself up in towards a scout. This could be a classic case of the old tag him and bag him. Story will tag him, and the pistols will see him off. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't want to be running through any smokes against 5-7s. Just playing close, exactly what the place you need to be with that pistol. Utility is very good for forZe, and now prioritizing that with a couple of Mac 10s. Same sort of purchase actually as in the previous map. They did win the pistol, of course, you'll remember. But sAw definitely too strong on Anubis, as we'd expect. Strong pistols in many maps. Shalfey may have inadvertently left his teammate out to dry there, but he does get both kills. Bit of a weird fight on towards short. And the kill came through from Story on the opposite side of the map as well. So 3v3, crowd playing it patiently. Just as in water, Story is still toward heaven. So they need to use these smokes around the site and toward heaven to make sure they don't give Story any free pot shots. And finally those will come down now. Water's not being checked until shalfey looks at it at the very split second, and unfortunately for shalfey, he probably would have got that kill if he hadn't pulled out. Crowd will take it though. He was also clearing it out properly. Story is not too great.
Well, bomb goes down, and of course, a couple of consolation kills is not bad. But in this situation, for Story and Roman, keep hold of what they've got. You look towards kind of what the economy is going to be like in towards next round, and well, it's safe to say it's going to be messy. They may as well have something to slightly alleviate the pressure there in terms of that Mac 10, which can play close in towards Con, for example, maybe bag a kill and a bit of money on the top of it. And for Story as well, the Scout at times can have its wondrous display, so we see a couple of headshots come through and it completely changes the dynamic of rounds. So I think it's the good call not to be too kind of overzealous and being aggro over towards that retake, or maybe even exit frags, right? Keep hold of what they've got and try and make something work in towards the next. But it does mean across the board for sAw now as well, it just has to be an eco. I think forcing around this would be completely pointless. A couple of pistol drops I can see work in their favor, a couple of 5-7s, or maybe even a deagle if someone really wants to take the chance. But aside from that, there's not really too much point. And we are actually going to see exactly that. We're going to see, a deagle picked up and a 5-7 in the hands of Materis too. So overall, kind of as expected, sticking around that 2k mark economically, so they have money to work within towards the next. But on paper, this should be for starting this T-side off 3-0.
Where'd you put that Mac 10 CT side? Con?
Con for me, yeah. That's the place I would whack it in.
See you later.
Okay.
Not a chance of it in any way, unfortunately. But Story, if we'd have hit that headshot, that would have been a tasty one. But Jerry made sure to leap his way in, give no chance for the scout to hit a headshot. That's the way to do it. Muteris is 16 HP. Shalfey, make sure he swings it properly. Doesn't just shift into the angle, gives Muteris no shot at all. And that is the 3-0 confirmed. sAw will have their first buy coming in right now. Story has enough money for the AWP as well. This is where it will truly get underway on Overpass.
This is where we get to see the true test, I guess. And actually, in a similar way to what we saw over towards Anubis, when we saw, sAw going towards that considerably, quite tougher CT side. They struggled. First 3 rounds didn't go their way, but when they picked up the full buy, that's when we saw the magic come to play. So for me so far, this is where we get a real good look in to see how good sAw actually perform on this CT side. And on a map which is generally seen as CT sided, you'd hope for sAw to come out and be able to really put a statement here into their first full buy and sort of hinder the progress that forZe have been gaining slowly but surely to open up map number 2.
Indeed. Story waiting too long, and I was looking forward to Story versus Zorta, I will say. It's a pretty entertaining battle. It was a bit quiet for Story, despite the fact that saw one map one. There wasn't really much duels between the two. And there we go. It happens right in front of our very eyes. Zorta boosted up next to the flower bed, taking his counterpart out. And that's round 1 to Zorta. Storm their way up forward, and they're going to have no idea that they're up so far. Roman has to avoid everything from this. This is the most impossible situation I think you could possibly be in. Behind a smoke, 2 players, and 2 players from long as well. Oh dear. Yeah, that's... you're not going to get out of there in a month of Sundays, are you? ewjerkz and Just are off to save, and forZe have a really, really solid start here.
Love to see it. It is really good work, isn't it? I mean, you're looking over towards this forZe side in terms of how do you mentally reset after what was a pretty dominant display from sAw on Anubis. It was very one-sided. Even when we saw a couple of rounds going in favor of forZe, that was mainly because they were against low buys or no buys. So now that we're seeing forZe dominate both against ecos on pistols and in full buys, this is where you start to get very, very concerned, but also quite happy for forZe, thinking, hey, the resurgence is there and sort of things working out as expected. Statistically speaking, for sAw, this isn't a strong map. It's never really been something that's been, a real strong part of their repertoire in terms of their map pool. So, hey, I mean, at least our predictions look right, which sometimes the curse really does come out to bite us on quite a number of occasions. So we're happy to be sitting here after making this prediction. And off the back of that as well, sAw are going to go for a pause. And I think this is the right call, right? They've lost control of this game already just a little bit. They've come up trumps when it's come to their full buy. And the buy coming in towards us next isn't going to be pretty. You're looking over towards the likes of multikill, your Story, and Roman. What sort of investment do they go? Do they get a drop over by the likes of Justin ewjerkz to try and buy util around it if they want to fully invest? Or do they go for a bit more of a kind of a half-buy save angle and stick above 2K once again just so they can, fully reset going in towards the next? But the bad side of that is if they do try and go for a full reset kind of buy, it does mean that forZe more or less guaranteed a 5-0 start, right? And that already is starting to get quite worrying.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the veto, especially when I saw that sAw were happy to pick into Anubis, I was like, oh, okay, well, that Overpass is available, and saw forZe play it yesterday, they won it. I kind of had a feeling that Nuke was written all over this series, but could still be wrong, we shall see. At the moment, though, this is the perfect start. ewjerkz and Just. We have the 2 M4s. Roman and multikill trying to team up together with the 5-7s toward long. And if they do go as a group here without a flashbang, this could actually work out. Tree. Your top line, shown. 3 players will switch it though, and yes, well, I say it could be a bit scary without a flash, but when you have 3 players and they get the insta-headshots, then there's no chance for you. Exactly what you expect from the likes of Jerry and Crad. Jerry, of course, remember yesterday, Neo had a superb performance.
He did. On
Overpass against 9. And he's starting off this one pretty solid as well.
He's the one who can really kind of, lead the charge and, lead by example as well, right? That is kind of the Jerry effect. I think there's always been this cause about some IGLs maybe not stepping up in the fragging department, and I think there's now a world in which you can't look at an IGL and let them off because they aren't fragging, because, they should be. We see it across all levels now that the IGLs are stepping up in that fragging department. I look towards like Carrigan, who is great on entries over towards FaZe, even Refresh over towards Sprout, other side of the bracket. I think he at times have some real great fragging displays as an IGL, and I think there's no longer a time and a place where you can say, hey, it's okay, he's not fragging that well because he's an IGL. And Jerry's a good example. Great IGL, but also fantastic in that fragging department, as we are seeing here. 6-1. And of course, a 5th round confirmed for forZe. The 2 M4s should be okay to be saved across into the next. I'm not really seeing too much of a hunt coming their way, so they should be fine nonetheless, and it will be sAw at a 5-round deficit. That's pretty dire.
It's a great start. And at the moment, it's looking like it's a great start for Eternal Fire as well. Of course, we're talking about the 2 upper bracket semi-finals. Eternal Fire versus Sprout is the other one on the main ESL stream right now. Eternal Fire are 1 round away from taking map 1. They're up 15-12 right now. They also picked into Anubis, so maybe another team that are looking to try and take advantage of that early on. But of course, a long way to go in that series, and they have just taken it now. 16-12, so Sprout have to go the long route to get back into this. 9 also in the lower bracket have taken the first map off of Sinners 16-11, so that's a good start for them to keep their hopes alive. They are one of the underdogs for sure at this point. Just as we get spooked there by forZe. He was a lot further through Monster than Just was expecting. Almost got himself a free kill there.
Yeah, double back. forZe gave him a little scare, but sort of slightly scared themselves, falling away a little bit. I see Jerry playing a much deeper angle instead of a util. Zorta is close and personal, shotgun AWPing. Maybe a little bit of a necessity if anyone wants to push. So far, so slow. A minute left on the clock. And the bomb not really committed. I mean, it's so far away, basically over towards spawn, right? So they're not even making really a committal play. They're just looking to see if they can find that opening kill.
I'm going to try and get that boost sorted towards short, perhaps. We see 2 players there right now. Jerry's about to get plonked on top. Mutus is staring at it, and of course he hears the drop down now, so that will be cancelled. We'll now know there are at least 2 players toward this side of the map. I'd probably call that there's at least 3, to be honest, after seeing the peak toward Monster early on, even though that was a while ago. He'll be right in saying that. Looks like forZe now are going to be setting up the utility. 25 seconds in the round, and there are so many players say this is surely going to be pretty impossible. Mutuis takes Jerry. Some damage done, but Just is still here. He's got a second turn toward Monster as well in jerks, and with 13 seconds, bomb now dropped. Secondly, I went straight with a whiff, but look at the HP. 7 seconds, they have to run as quickly as possible, Scarpa to the hills, because they need these guns. Can't afford to go down after time. Sure, shalfey would have been fine, but it's always better to die before time. And after.
Yep. Hey, first round, right? First little bit of positive note for sAw. We can at least start to make a conversation about things looking a little bit on the brighter side. But it's definitely not a job done or a story wrote already, because for forZe, they are still well and truly in the lead. They got money to work with long term as well. So overall, everything looking absolutely flying towards that's his side. Joe's taking a little bit of damage, makes his way through that Molotov. Smoke in his face too. He plays micro angle, and the door burn off connector does make it slightly more concerning over towards short water. This is a treacherous area to be in. However, the bomb looks like it's going to go the other way towards A.
sAw have all the control now. I always say when I cast Overpass, and I think it's a very basic thing to say, but it's still so important, short control, whether you're a T or a CT. We saw that forZe had it throughout the duration of that last round, but in the end couldn't take advantage of it enough early on. So sAw had rotated enough players over to deal with it. Roman practicing being a kangaroo behind the flower bed on long, looking for information as forZe run up toward the bathroom. I say run, they are staying silent about it. Story's here though, and that's the opening pick. Bomb drops, so forZe has to go in pretty quickly for this trade. They now know what exactly is going on. The jig is up, and Zorta will stop Story, but there's another play on the back of the site. Materis is waiting for this push. forZe with a flashbang by his teammate, but he can't avoid Materis. And shalfey's a bit disappointed as well. He will take Materis, but Roman has lurked his way in and stopped Zorta. And that's the bomb in sAw's possession. Look at it. It's between all 3 players. shalfey, he has no way out other than saving down toward B. I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Yeah,
get out of dodge. Get out of dodge. It's just not exactly a a nice situation for shalfey, and especially with 26 points of HP, tuck himself in close, make sure that AK goes over into the next. You know, we were saying, money isn't a problem for forZe, but there's no way you can expect shalfey to make any sort of an attempt there. They'd rather have something rather than nothing. So an AK saved over does make it a little bit easier. He's still got 9k in the bank anyway, so not problematic. And a bit of a priority as well, just to keep that long-term economy somewhat comfortable, somewhat built up and stacked for a late stage where they may need it a little bit more. But for sAw, already looking more positive. A little bit of confidence coming through. Maybe after the 10-15 minute break in between maps, they slightly cooled off from Anubis. Thankfully, we're starting to see them look a little bit more in control, a little bit more like the sAw we know and love, who can, well, dominate and dictate games.
For sure, yeah. I mean, while it may be only a flash in the pan, that win against Spirit was an impressive one on this map. Spirits historically don't mind Overpass at all. It was a big win. And they're starting to get these opening picks, right? They're starting to put more pressure on forZe, but he's getting off to good starts in these rounds. Crad will get a pick back in response, which is a big one because it removes the AWP of Story. Around the balloons area. Low, and surely he loses this duel, but no way! Roman hits the insta-dink, but can't hit one more bullet. That's so unlucky. I say unlucky, you make your own luck. Probably should have hit that extra bullet, but Crad somehow wins that, and Zorta's waiting for a reface towards short as well. ewjerkz looks for it through the pipe and gets taken down. Justin Mutiris might just have to team up together and stack a sight and hope for the best. But they are pretty separated right now. Looks like forZe are committed toward B. Crad is low, but he's been given the AWP, so he can just hold the longer range. And it's all just. Jerry and Zorta making their way through the two players who have played in Pro League before, and sometimes they show it, don't they? Wow. Jerry destroys Just, and Materis now knows what his job is. It's to keep that M4.
That's it. Materis, no other option. Really nice round. And again, you know, we look towards Jerry in terms of leading by example. That shot, fantastic. This Crad of a double. Like the dynamic duo of the Entropic, or the ex-Entropic boys, maybe being a little bit quiet at times and overshadowed by, you know, the success of Jerry and IGL and Fragger, and of course the stunning youngsters of your shalfeys and your Zortas of the world. But at times they do have their brilliance, and Crad, that double really set the tone in towards that round just gone, and it does mean that forZe continue to extend the lead and T-side Overpass as well. Well, again, like we were saying earlier, statistically, it's not one of the most, you know, CT-sided maps in the pool by any stretch of your imagination. But by the eye test, it always looks like it's very difficult to get that T-side to be so solid and so consistent. But that doesn't seem to be a problem at all for forZe. And we're looking at statistical anomalies and hoping that maybe, you know, if you saw, they can try and fight off a statistical anomaly themselves of being pretty weak on this map, and it's not looking like the case so far. They are really not looking comfortable, as I've shown in previous maps, aside from that one time against Spirit.
Yeah, honestly, I will say that even though Roman lost that duel to Crad that I was talking about on long, if he had won that, that probably wouldn't have changed much about the round, right? Because the forZe plan was toward B anyway, so didn't give them much opportunity. ewjerkz can peek behind this Molotov if he really wants to. He has the help of the Molotov smoke and that grenade dust that gets blown off the ground as well. But we're going to stay a bit more comfortable for now and wait for that smoke to come in. And yeah, it's, as I was saying, like, it would have changed absolutely nothing because Roman would have been disconnected from the action anyway. That round would have been forZe's either way.
Terrace, little spam. I didn't find too much. There's a player just on the other side into a short water. A couple, in fact, which does need to be wary of. But also being a lot of util burned over towards the A site, or short for the very least. This could work in their favor. Jerry just setting a bit of a ruse. The bomb is slowly getting closer and closer towards A. The question is, do they double back down connector and join forcing towards short water? What is the play? I mean, forZe, they have all the map control and all the ability, but they're going to be spotted out to Story and Roman combined for one apiece. What a turnaround.
Roman gets his own back for the previous round there, catching Crad basically in the same sort of peaking angle. You think he'd win, and this time he makes up for it. Good spray from forZe. ewjerkz will go down. Obviously, that's always a very annoying angle on Overpass. You think you're safe, but that wood is incredibly technical. way in, gets himself a kill, but just got forZe in the meantime, and now Joey's down to 11 HP, and he'll be taken out by Story toward heaven. And I think Materis is still unaccounted for in water as well, so Zorta, with the bomb drop with 5 seconds to go, has no choice but to fall back, but there's no worries about that because the money is still good for forZe. shalfey can drop forZe if need be, and Zorta could do so anyway. But it's a good third for sAw. They're staying at least slightly in touch, but you would expect them, Neo, to really want at least an 8-7 or 9-6, and that's falling away now.
Yeah. No, agreed. It is getting to a point where even though you see the occasional positive over towards sAw, it's not consistent. It's not consecutive round on the board where we're thinking, okay, this is mounting up to be a fairly decent CT side. It just never really feels like we're going to get to that point because forZe do look like the more dominant side right now. And even when they have these slight hiccups along the road, it's not changing anything, is it? From what we know and love over towards forZe side, it's been a really good display so far. So they're going to struggle to keep in charge, especially a Story is not being held in the crossfire like that. He was caught in no man's land.
shalfey, again, just making an individual play. He was helped out by Crad, to be fair, but he's got taken out. So it's only shalfey here, and I was going to say, he probably needs to slow it down a little bit, and he is doing just that. No reason to go for a trade in that situation single-handedly when you don't know exactly what angle is being held by the CT. Bathrooms is such a scary place to trade in. So many cheeky off angles and opportunities for teammates to help out. And that's exactly what sAw are doing right now. Roman and ewjerkz playing off the back of each other. shalfey is looking for them now, but Roman's on top of the bin. He's got a good angle. It may be a trash can, but that's not a trash angle, I can assure you. And there's the timing look. ewjerkz spots shalfey. So, in the end, he was only the fake. It'll be forZe focusing on B once again, and they'll be right to do so, because at the moment, the actual site itself is clear. That even though they're back towards CT, they're doing a great job of holding forZe at bay. Zorta does well to find Justin. Look how far forZe is pushing forward, but he's going to get insta-traded even if he gets one. Now Zorta has no choice to hold the bomb, and he's getting converted upon by every which angle. Materis takes that one, and sAw will close the gap to 2.
Yeah, that's a really good round as well. They're playing off the back of the crossfire. That kind of stacking towards CG Graffiti gives them that comfortability. I mean, yes, of course, the bomb goes down. You can talk about the slight positives in that regard, but when we're looking overall, that's what we'd love and hope to see from sAw on a more consistent basis. And we were saying, you know, we are lacking consistent and consecutive rounds from sAw, but they're slowly, surely starting to find them now. And there's a world still in which sAw actually go in with a relatively healthy lead, in fact, in towards the second half. I still think it's more improbable, not impossible, but, you know, it will be unlikely, right? Because we still know that forZe have this sort of innate ability about them to just turn a game on its head. Even though, for now, if you sAw, you're taking the positives, you're taking the small additions that are looking so good. See if you can run with them. Nate will come through, healthy amount of damage as Zorta's down to half. Crad will take a tag too. Not a bad start, sAw happy to fall off and give him the space.
Yeah, great recovery from sAw in the previous round. That frag from ewjerkz towards shalfey, just dealing with that lurk, really put an end to it. When I saw no one from sAw actually on the site itself, that forZe could have a free bomb plant, but they couldn't actually get toward that position without losing a few more bodies. Good patience from sAw, and forZe looking to change it up now. They've done a couple of executes toward B. They haven't really done a proper full execute toward A yet. They've gone toward A, but not with all the flashes and smokes yet. And Jerry will charge in first again. He will walk through his AWP though. Roman still doing more damage from that sign angle. There's just too many players here for forZe to deal with. Materis, look at the rotations. There are 3 players here, and Justice still waiting just in case as well. Crad. We'll find the... I say fine. He's not finding anyone. It's Roman who's doing the searching and the recovering. That's disgusting. That was a really nice 2k. Thought for sure he was going to go down. Now forZe is incredibly stuck. You think he knows where 2 players are? He's about to be faced by all of them at once, and he can only get the 1 kill. The gap is now 1, Neo.
It is doable. I mean, what a turnaround for sAw. We saw them do this on a little bit more of a minute scale over towards Anubis, where the start of the half didn't go too well in that second half, but they were able to sort of turn it on its head. And well, see out the map in a relatively convincing fashion. This is looking convincing though from sAw. This is what we expected from the CT side. And you know, sometimes we ask the question of are things too little too late, and maybe a little bit prematurely at times. Thankfully for sAw, they're making this competitive on the way out now. And at least, you know, while they've given sAw up towards 6 on their T side, which some would even argue is good enough, right? I don't think 10-5 is even too bad of a half on Overpass.
Yeah.
For sAw, they're able to see it off relatively comfortably, you know, guarantee a lead at the very least in the second half. Hey, they are more than happy to turn things around, but it's not a dream start. Krad's P250 finds 1 before he's shut out by the AWP.
Yeah, that was a bit scary for sAw. I mean, you're being rushed down by pistols. This is not the gun you want. Yeah, instead, smart decision. Stops Jerry from pushing forward. He managed to fall back safely. Only the one player left for sAw in that play. Story recovered it nicely. forZe up with the Tech 9, but already down to 17 points of health, and he's being jump spotted as well. There are 2 players here, and even ewjerkz on long to stop any flank from being an issue. shalfey does have the gun, but of course no armor to work with. The boost might be spotted first too. Silenced M4 barrel seen. It is. Drops down. forZe to minute is one kill, but oh, okay, that's a really good frag from Zorta. He may be last alive now, but this is expensive now for sAw.
What does Zorta do here? I mean, obviously he knows. He probably can, but he has to go the long rotate. Does he have time? It's more of a question of that. But now he's been given the ability to go down con. Oh my god, he can make it. He actually gets this for free. Goes down con. Of course, burning the flash will sell a bit of a sound cue, but no one's reacted to it. Hang on a second here. Zorta's going to get a free plant.
That's okay.
No one seems to have heard the flash somehow. I mean, it goes for him. He's absolutely happy with that. But what's the play now? What does the retake do in terms of getting a bit of control? And I got worried. Peeking 1 by 1 is not exactly the dream. Thankfully, just able to see it off. He's had a very quiet performance so far. But to see it off when it matters most. And that will mean sAw are going to tie this game up 6 rounds apiece. And that's not something I really expected too long ago.
No, not at all. And I think forZe in general, even though it is 6-all, we'll still be content, and we'll certainly be content with the amount of damage they did in that round. I mean, goodness me, Zorta, a bomb plant and 3 kills is probably not something they were expecting. But he was feeling it. I mentioned yesterday, of course, when we casted forZe, that Zorta's one of the most recognisable players to watch, I feel like. You saw it how he ran down Con and how he flicked his mouse around like he's a... I'm not entirely sure if his sense is very high. I don't think it's like ridiculously high, like some of the other famously high sense players like forZe, for example, but I think it's high enough to make it look particularly flicky, as we can see. Had a chance to tap that Heaven player, but it was always a long shot.
A real kind of contact being taken here. It's vying for space. He's trying to fight to see if they can do something to their advantage. Not being given too much for now. Nice nade to come through, to be fair, as just they'll be tagged down to about half, and a resmoke in towards Monster denies the presence that forZe can really display. And the boost is being accounted for too. 2 players holding for it.
Yeah, and they're playing positions where the boost cannot be seen either. Just continuing to glance at it. I think he's seen the head of shalfey. He's waiting for the swing. Now the fall-off will have to come in. These days, it's very common for a CT side just to play in positions that completely avoids the possibility of B of being taken down by that boost. But forZe are going to pounce anyway. Good Molotov from Just that avoids him being taken down while he's throwing it. And he gets himself 2 from it. Snaps the wipe out. Perfect round. Zorta last alive. Look at his angle being held by Materius. The pipe to see above the sight. And they've really done a great job at locking out forZe. It was 6-2. It's now going to be 7-6 sAw.
What a way to do it. Last player spotted as well. What does Zorta do here? That's not about shots. ewjerkz will fall.
Ouch.
So, hey, at the very least, he's on a little conversation. Maybe. I mean, this would be a clutch of the year. I'm not talking about 2023. I'm talking the last 12 months, but it's up to me. As Materius will see it off and see off my hopes and dreams of what would have been a beauty of a clip. That is sAw taking the lead, and what a way to do so. We saw forZe up to 6 rounds, and we were thinking maybe it's already done. Maybe we should start focusing our attention early doors towards Nuke. But no, saw other ideas. I'm impressed. I'm loving life right now, Trav. We're seeing a resurgence from saw and showing why they are as dominant as they are.
Yeah, it was a surprise that they were dominant as well, because of course, even though they qualified for the Elisa Masters in Espo, they didn't have the most difficult of runs, and also their results there weren't too amazing either. I think they had one good win, but that was about it. Of course, that was a best of one group stage, so it's always very difficult to keep that consistent. But yeah, toward the end of the year, they most certainly had great performances online, winning the ECL season, of course, beating Spirit twice in that bracket. As for forZe, sort of undergoing a bit of a rebuild recently, of course, losing kenzie. Obviously adding some new players, Crad from Intropic. forZe for now joining in. I think this is a great team, and we've seen why throughout the first half of Overpass, but a bit silent in the last few rounds. They've started shouting again here. Zorta with his AWP gets an open pick, shalfey gets a follow-up. And now the question mark for sAw is, really, do you put all three players on one site and gamble? Or do you stick with it?
That's the age-old question. For sAw now, what is the plan? It's looking like a bit more presence over towards the A side, but a smoke will come through in towards that resmoke a front monster from the CTs. That's thrown from Dumpster over towards the A side. Door will be open. Actually, a double rotation coming through. And it's still Jerks alone over towards Long, and that rotation has to come quickly because they're being tested, and forZe will pass the first.
Yeah, it's a good first frag. That just settles everything down. Even if there were more players there, which of course there were in story, he gets the trade. From the grave, he will burn shalfey out of the round, but it matters not. ewjerkz will have to save.
Probably the right call, isn't it? You know, over to that CT side, well, we have seen actually success over the last few, and they're able to make this way closer than it definitely should have been. The fact that we're now sitting where we are in terms of 7-all, and, you know, sAw made a fabulous comeback. Their economy really hasn't. You know, Jerk's only got 800 left in the bank. Justa's not exactly rich either. I think they should be able to muster up actually an okay, comfortable buy. It might require Jerks to drop over something like a FAMAS or like an MP9 if they want you to. It's not a dream by any means, but these are the latter stages, final round of the half. They'll take anything you can get. The drop coming from Jerks, if he even goes one, I think Roman should be okay. It's just a case of how does he do util. Maybe Jerks is the kind of a bit of a util mule in terms of dropping some over, something along those lines, but they'll burn it all across just to pick up an MP9. But aside from that, it is actually relatively comfortable as sort of expected and relatively similar. forZe wielding a Galil, so similar circumstances both ways. Who goes into the second half of a lead intact? Oh, this France aside. Very even affair, unlike an Ubers though.
Who goes into the second half with that lead? I think forZe, as I mentioned earlier, we're pretty content either way. I think they're going to be pretty confident in their CT side. But we shall see. sAw fighting back well, keeping it competitive. As you mentioned, ewjerkz now has none of that utility anymore. Had the extra cash, having saved the M4 to be able to have plenty to work with. And forZe will make their way out of connector. It's also holding a little flower bed line above that smoke where we've, or above the bathroom wall, sorry, where we've seen multiple players hit some 31 taps over the last couple of days. In for the wall bang, just in case there could be someone in the cubby. But that is clear. And Roman will deal with Crad. Crad was already low from an opening duel. And in the story. That Molotov going to force him away. That tag will be heard, I believe, and Roman goes aggressive for more. Really well played. Molotov will go down, looking for a second. Actually sticks around, does Roman, but Jerry stops him. So he keeps this round alive, and Story obviously have to consider falling back behind the truck at some point, as he knows Long could be an issue. Top of the smoke's coming in. 2 players in the site though for sAw. It should be okay. Everyone's incredibly blind, and Joey's now down to 9 HP as well. Joey still gets that kill, so he has to step up, but he only gets the 1. And that was a low HP player as well, so it's now ewjerkz 1 versus 2. Bomb being planted by Zorta, safe from bathroom and from green bin as well. It's a smart place to put himself, considering the time on the clock and the fact they're unaware of where ewjerkz is coming from. No kit picked up for ewjerkz at the moment, though. He tries to pre-fire Zorta, but not to be. And the star quality shows up again for forZe. They sneak in 8-7. We'll see if they can convert it and get us to a third map after a very quick break.
Welcome back. Second half of the second map gets underway, and it's a much more even affair. That first map one-sided on Anubis, but my god, forZe looking way more competitive now, and sAw actually being sort of run through the ringer just a little bit. It's been a tough half for them to get under their belt, and now they are going to move on to the tougher side of the T side of Overpass.
Indeed, no, but honestly, they've managed to come back relatively okay. The gap's only one. It's only an 8-7 half, and you have to look at it realistically and factually, and the fact that they're actually only one half away from making Pro League. So you never know.
Pretty nuts.
It could be an opportunity for them, and they'll know that for themselves. All the nerves then start to kick in. We shall see. Zorta will continue his form and get himself up to a 2 KD at 14-7 by getting the first frag, but he will get traded immediately by ewjerkz. But he took a lot of damage to get that trade. Story and Roman, two of the players remaining, are two players without Kevlar, so they're going to be very squishy. But they are looking away in toward Monster. forZe is here. Flash comes in, and oh my goodness, ewjerkz is so blind, still hits the headshot. Can you believe it? And Joey's going to get overrun, and so will shalfey. What an entry from sAw. Crad, the only one defending toward A. It's coming back into a 1 versus 4. He has found the first, and as I mentioned, there are 2 players. Could be pretty easy kills, but sAw will know not to pick them one by one, and ewjerkz in the end hits the headshot. Big round from him. It's an ace for ewjerkz in the end, and that flashed kill toward forZe has to be the most disgusting one of the lot.
The Magic Man stepping up. You know, he was someone that we fell in love with on the desk over in ESL Pro League Conference Season 16 when he was of FTW, and one of the shining lights that actually got them that spot to qualify. I still did love him. What a player. What a player. And a little bit quiet as well in that first half too, right? We've been kind of sort of innately calling on him to do what ewjerkz does best, and thankfully we start to see a little bit of that success rain through. Now all tied square 8-8, and the buy much better over towards that T side. ewjerkz with an AK-47, double Galil alongside, and double Mac-10 to pad out the buy for the T side for forZe. All they can really muster up is a double scout setup and a few pistols all around it. Not exactly a dream on it. On paper, this should be sAw taking a lead for the first time.
It should, but some minion rounds go awry when it's a Scout Deagle 5-7 combination. And there's 2 of them as well, on Crad and Zorta. But what a round from ewjerkz to kick off the second half. Equalising ace up to 8 rounds apiece. ewjerkz's grenade will deal with Jerry as well. First piece of the puzzle solved. shalfey. It's tagged down to 20 from the Mac-10. Mutuous hits way more bullets there actually than I was expecting, considering shalfey was dancing around the pillar. Walking to a stack here though, Naya. So,
not comfortable. Not
worrying.
looking good here. Uh-oh. This is where you start to get really worried. AK dropped. ewjerkz back 21 kill.
Here we go.
Scout will find one more. This is brutal. Shard down to numbers advantage for the CT side. But low HP both ways.
Oh, and just had to go for a reload with the Galil as well. Can you believe it? And there's a second scout, of course, toward ABC. It's a nightmare for sAw. Oh, can you believe that? 9 seconds. The save has to be Muteris' choice. Oh, it was just that one Deagle headshot from shalfey that got forZe back into that round. In the end, it's incredible for Just to be out of bullets with the Galil. It's got a 35 bullet clip, for goodness sake. If he could have gone for that frag and just stayed on the angle, he wouldn't have been pushed by Crad. Damn. That is not one that sAw will want to watch back later, but they'll be forced to know what they did wrong.
Yeah, it's tough. And you know, I always like to say that I don't actually think the pistols are very impactful in what is the grand scope of a half and a game. I always think it's the force buy, and that's what matters most. I mean, look what's left now with sAw having just one hero AK to work with, and it's immediately dropped. It has 0 impact.
There you go. Removed. That's exactly the kind of round that when you win on the CT side, especially if a map like Overpass, it can give you so much momentum. If then you can win the force buy battles, the wars, remove these 3 Deagles on the 1 AK, it gives them such a bolster. Basically means 8 for free.
This is not exactly good for sAw now. I mean, it's left him in a really dire state. And of course, with kind of how things really stand with this you know, force by boards, it's the meta. There's so much reliance on roaming to find success. And actually, we'll do a little bit of that. Finding one. Zorta will trade it out with a scout, but the FONS answers back. They're making this competitive despite what was just one rifle brought into this round. 30 seconds to work with, but they met with a Molotov.
Yeah, that's going to be... push through that one. Just has been given the M4 and he doesn't want to lose health by going through it, and oh my goodness, talk about losing health. That is the most disgusting grenade, and it makes the last 2 kills as free as anything. Oh, I thought for a second that could have got out of hand, but sort of hitting that extra tag, even though he went down to the A1S, was a no issue. So much damage done, and that grenade literally on the feet of the opponents. Impossible to avoid. They'll be thinking to themselves, why on earth do forZe still have an incendiary and a nade at this stage of the round?
Hey, well now, I mean, you look towards sAw, and again, this is where they get punished for the force by wars. Because left them with so little in towards round number 19. A lot of teams do just take this as a, you know, we saw it a lot yesterday. It's attack pause without taking attack pause, right? You just kind of burn a little bit of the midnight oil, sit, wait, have a conversation. What are we going to do when we get on our next full buy? And it's a really good opportunity to do so, right? They're not expected to find anything in towards this one. A bomb plant would be an absolute huge win if they can find it. forZe, though, will fall. The Glock's making something of this. I think back to the old rank S clip. No way a Glock should come out on top. Thankfully, they are being closed out now. The bomb is dropped in no man's land.
Yeah, this is fine. No worries. In the end, Jerry just stood tall in the open, and he knew he was going to go down there, but he got himself 2 from it, so he stayed calm, and shalfey cleared it up. A bit too much damage than maybe forZe would have wanted, but they do hit that 11th that I said was almost a guarantee. It almost wasn't, but so we'll be pretty happy with the damage they did, even without that bomb plant. It would have been a miracle to get the bomb plant as well. Fly coming in, just only on the Galil. 4 sets of utility. I say usually we say these days only a Galil, but it's not really only anymore. I would say it's not really a big fallback. Such a cheap rifle for how good it is. In my opinion, miles better than the FAMAS, but that's a debate for another day. Yeah, that's, you're not gonna get that sound cue just gives shalfey all the information, and they just cannot take him down. 3 big kills, and that's basically giving them a 12th just from that play.
Now what, right? Story, just, you probably pump the brakes here and just actually try and park up as best you can. Play for exits, play for catching someone off guard. I can't see a world in which they're going to find any success here. And to be honest, if you are sAw, you kind of want those rifles, or you definitely need them in towards the next. Money isn't exactly flourishing. And round number 21 is going to be a very dire landscape for this sAw side, who are already starting to fall quite considerably behind now. This is getting really uncomfortable. You're looking towards this side and saying they had the possibility of a 2-0, and now it's, you know, bit by bit slipping away. So if it comes through, Jerry should actually get a freebie momentarily. Story tagged in towards their feet, but it's actually just you want to get a little bit worried of. Is the angle going to be favourable? And it will. Jerry will pass that one relatively easily. Story left all alone. 26 points of HP. Just get out of dodge, my friend.
Yeah, Jerry knew that was coming. He saw I think he saw that tiny pixel of a toe come through, and then he backed off again, and then flicked up, then realised, oh, okay, well, I'll just be patient and I'll get this one. Nice angle to have. While the T, of course, can see your feet, that does tend to be an angle where the CT can see the ankles of the enemy first. So he's saving the AK. Not the best, because he only has an AK to save. Absolutely bankrupt into the following round. We're starting to see some of the forZe dominance that we expected on CT side now. Nuke would be the decider. A decider to decide who makes that main stage of Pro League. How big is that?
A lot on the line, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty nuts when you think about how much comes down to what potentially could be this map, or maybe even our decider of Nuke. A bit of YouTube being dropped in towards connector, but when you look over towards sAw, we were saying about how much of a necessity it was for them to have any sort of riflery to work with in towards round of 21. Now you can see exactly why. It's just a hero AK, a Story, and a minimal buy around it. Just a couple of pistols to work with. And Story very fortunate, in fact, to actually remain okay there. The bullets just whisk past his head.
17 and 8. Zorta 15 and 8. Only forZe is negative, and he's not really hanging too far behind either. One shot is coming in. Be careful of it. And of course now they're very much aware as forZe gets tagged down low. And Molotov is body blocked by a teammate. shalfey looks at forZe as if to say, mate, please, please. You're ruining my flow. But it's fine. It doesn't mean anything too bad. And they'll reboot on the sandbags to check short is completely clear, and they'll see it's completely clear, so rotation toward A will be coming in. Crowd gets his one, Zorta gets his one. 35 seconds to go. 3 pistols and an AK to clean up. shalfey rotates in to get his well. There goes Roman. And just is 1v5. Tag through the wall as well. Well, doesn't need to peek, but he's going to want to. Big swing comes through from forZe, and he gets his 2 kills. shalfey on 13.3, Jerry on 8, and Crad on 9. Money is now out of control, and it should be just a matter of a few rounds now for forZe to close this one out.
That's it. Pause be called by sAw, and you can sort of see why. This one does sort of feel dead in the water already. In a similar fashion to how Anubis was, this one is kind of along the same sort of trajectory where for forZe, they're just on that home straight now. And unfortunately, kind of in terms of tactically, in a more macro sense, sAw really haven't been able to quite nicely, especially as we saw towards that first half in a lot of that T side. But since coming in towards the CT, it's been one-way traffic, really. forZe looked, well, like a new lease of life has been given to them, so much more confidence. Not exactly what we were seeing over towards Anubis, where they were kind of really a shadow of their former selves, especially off the back of yesterday's performances. And now this is the forZe we know and love, the competitive edge, that side they're able to step up. You're looking across the board as well, and it's the 2 youngsters of shalfey and Zorta who have just been the cut above the rest, really. And even though ewjerkz has made fairly decent attempts, he just hasn't been able to keep up with those 2 over towards forZe, and they have been really pulling their weight. 13-8 and a 5-round lead. Such a difficult mountain to climb for sAw to get back into this map if they want a 2-0, and that's going to be for shalfey forZe for the first. Just Alonso with 2 of his own, but he's the trade. And Zorta can't make it a double.
Yeah, Roman, he took a little bit too long to get that kill towards Zorta as well. It was quite an, I say easy, nothing's easy, but the headshot up close would have given him a chance to react to the player coming in from ABC and CT. Story has a chance, I say that, and he'll get peeked from Crad. I thought he was looking towards short and waiting for Crad to peek himself up the ramp, but in the end, Crad won the duel anyway. 14-8, pretty comfortable.
You feel like it's done, Trav? What are you feeling? Where are you sitting?
I think we're going to Nuke. And honestly, Nuke would be the perfect playground for this decider. It's a map that sAw are very comfortable to go towards. They went toward it, maybe not to much success, but of course it was against very good teams at the RMR. forZe, I don't mind playing it either. They won it the other day. It's going to be... forZe just need those 2 rounds, and sAw just trying individual plays now. Towards B, utility isn't looking too great. They're not getting themselves the flashes working properly, and Jerry finishes off the round again. It's going to be a bit of a damp end to this map, but it does set us up for what could be a banger of a decider.
Yeah, Nuke should be great. I mean, this is a map in which I think for these 2 teams feels like that perfect proving ground of who is the best. I mean, obviously there's history here between the 2 of them in terms of previous series and the last 2 seasons of Challenger League. But in this one, on Overpass, it's only gone one way. The forZe, they are looking so clean, so concise. Similarly, in fact, to how sAw looked on Anubis, which makes Nuke all the more interesting. Both sides like to play it. Both sides have history on it. And have shown their dominance just to open things up in towards round number 24. But this story, overall for sAw, and what has been a road in Overpass, so rocky for them, looks like it might be derailed momentarily.
Yeah, and Overpass is a map where we've seen teams in Tier 2 continue to build up streaks on it, right? I mean, I talked about this yesterday with Skade, had a period in 2021 and 2022 where they absolutely owned Overpass. And if forZe get this 1 round they need, it will be their 6th Overpass win in a row. Starting to build up a streak of their own. Zorta is here. It's a 4v5. He's in the right spot. Nice flick to take Roman. And there are 2 more players coming his way as well. Smoke is up. When does he choose to swing? That may have been seen by ewjerkz. And he sharply. We'll have a player directly behind him, but no. He doesn't save him in time. And ewjerkz is doing a great job right now, keeping this one alive. 2 more kills. Story helps out toward forZe. It's Jerry 1v3. He comes charging out of the dumpster. But in the end, he gets taken out by Story as well. Plenty of cash available for forZe. That's why they gave it a go so aggressively. sAw will just keep it going a little while longer.
Hey, not done just yet. We still live on to see a couple more pages written out, but yeah, I mean, it's very hard to be motivated as a caster here and, you know, a fan of sAw, right? Because of how treacherous a road it is to get back into this game. And even if they're able to pull off such a fabled comeback, that would just still be for OT. So a long old road to recovery. But hey, at least making something of this. At least making this something to go into towards a nuke and say, you know, they have this ability to have a bit of mental fortitude, have the ability to turn around games which maybe looked done and dusted. So you can never really count out sAw. For now, slow performance is trying to find the first with the AWP. Crowd AWPing as a secondary AWP, and often you get to see that. But for forZe, working well in this round.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen much of this, have we, last 2 days of our conference casting? Haven't seen double AWPs in any setups at all, really.
No.
Until now. Crowd pulling out alongside sAw. So, I mean, they had the money for it. If there ever was a time to do it, now would have been that time. Also towards short, waiting for Mutuous to cross. He gets his reward. Will he get his just reward? Not yet. Creeping up. Sort of will take the pot shot, but have to fall away. forZe want this done and dusted as quickly as possible. They want to let sAw get back into the game, get some confidence, get some frags flowing for the final map. Crad does well with his secondary AWP. The second of the round. Grenade smoke. Escape for now. 2 versus 4. shalfey behind the site. Gets found by Just, but so much damage has been done, and honestly they can just charge up the green bin if they really want to and get it sorted. Problem is though, Story's put himself into a very good position. Jerry should be found, but he will fall off of it for now, and that's going to be unfortunate. Little did he know that Jerry was coming in that direction. Just playing up close, pre-fires the AWP, well played, and Jerry spotted Story. This is the big kill. Whoever wins this one should win the round, and Story takes it. Well done to sAw. They're hanging on by the skin of their teeth at the moment. The Sorter, no defuse kit, can't afford to hold it. He finds Just, but Story can afford just to run away. There won't be any time for this defuse. And this will be another round for sAw. They're going to charge him down, but Story hits the shot. 2 big kills from Story, and we go on ever more.
It's a great round. It really is, actually. You know, for sAw, I think you got to give them their credit, right? You haven't given up just yet. Even if this feels like a lost cause and trying to make a comeback here, I got to respect the effort they're putting in. This is looking much, much better. And even to a point where without seeing forZe call for attack. And I think there's probably even safe to say a little bit of an argument to be made about them feeling a little bit of pressure. And you do see teams at times have this sort of mental block and inability to close out games. And potentially we're seeing a little bit of that here with forZe, where for that CT side, they're so close to the finish line that maybe you get a little bit too comfortable. You get a little bit too, laid back and seeing off the game. And that's another round that maybe on paper should have gone their way. And the fact that it doesn't, a couple of question marks start to arise. Either way, map points and many to work with. sAw playing for OT as they got 5 rounds to do so. Not the easiest, to say the least, but definitely not impossible either. We'll have to wait and see. Round 26 ensues.
And you could argue that sAw maybe, as they were 15-8 behind, would have started playing with a little bit more freedom, right? Thinking, okay, well, this one might not soon be over. And started just playing a bit more, not necessarily puggy. That would be a bit rude to describe those few rounds as puggy, because they played them very well. But, yeah, just slightly less pressure on their shoulders. They're not the ones who have anything to lose in this particular moment. Still just that one away. Should be okay. You like forZe's new logo. We mentioned it yesterday. I think it's one of the better rebrands we've seen over the last few years.
Gotta say, I think of many of the rebrands we've seen, especially in CSGO over the last few years, I look back to the likes of NRG, for example. Not a fan of that one.
NIP
but
as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, maybe a couple, slightly questionable, so to say, but I think forZe's really clean. Speaking of, that's a clean shot. Sorter will find the first, and no surprises, 21 kills to his name, equal with shalfey as those two continue to dominate the server on Overpass. And maybe this is where the job is done. The numbers favour the TT side.
Rotation up from forZe. Helping out shalfey on the side. Always a bit of a scary angle to play behind the dice, because you never know when you could be pre-fired from long. You do have a bit of an advantage with the right eye peak, but it's a very slim one. And now sAw, this is the last roll of the dice. 4 versus 5, 20 seconds to go. And they're charging up toward A, and there are just so many players here to face. three on the site to somehow flush out. How do they do it? 15 seconds. Roman hits one. That's brilliant. And Story's got his frag as well. It's all going to be forZe, and he gets all three of them. What a stand-up hold from forZe. And with 7 seconds to go, he can just waste the clock. Just is running him down. He does get the kill, but 3 seconds on the clock. There's no time for this bomb plant. Wonderful hold from forZe. And forZe send us to a third.
You know, and we've sung forZe's praises as well. We've kind of said if he's going to be a stand-in for the side, I don't think he's too bad of a pickup, and that's what you get from him. I really do like forZe as a player, and he shows that magic. He's a consistent player, but from time to time he has rounds like that, and that's where we really see what he can bring to the server and to the team. And what a map from forZe. That was impressive. That's what we hope to see from them, and I think Anubis, they were a shadow of their